Hey dude, hey Alex. Just a video for you on the second prototype. I've attached a zip file that should include this second prototype folder. Now, what I'd normally be suggesting you to click is this application file here. I'm not entirely sure why right now, but some of the features do not work on this currently. So you're gonna need to click Max Collective. Bring it up like this. Okay, so it's basically like the presentation mode. And yeah, that should be fully functioning. It should automatically look for the files. Now I've got a bunch of notes here. As I say right here, freezing audio files into the device. Don't think this is actually possible. So this is the export, and no matter what, it's going to have this folder resources, which contains everything, including all of the files. So yeah, I think that's going to be a necessity no matter what, unless we get into this whole pure data thing. I'm happy to do that. Like you said, it would be nice for you to be able to use this in any VST. And yeah, I mean, the skills from Max to pure data are pretty transferable. I've got some experience in it, but yeah, it would take me way longer, and I don't know if it's something that we should focus on right now. It would probably be best to get it done in Max and then go from there, you know. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at the prototype. So everything should work straight away. Some of the features aren't quite there yet. Let me demonstrate. Okay. I'll just play a few to begin with, but you can play around with it more yourself. Okay, so let's go through these notes. So as I said, in terms of freezing the audio files, it's going to be in folder form no matter what. I think that's fine, really. Every other Max for Live device or any other device such as this will always include a folder of resources. The user doesn't have to do anything, doesn't have to change anything. It will automatically just load. So I've sorted the loops to have a full range of loop points. So if you have a look at each individual loop, they should be a little bit more versatile than they were last time you saw them. Previously they kind of stuck around being quite small in general. I've changed the minimum to be 50 milliseconds so that it's not, you know, you said you wanted a nice balance between it being a little bit glitchy at times, but nothing too crazy. I found that works quite nice. I've just written here about micro envelopes. So you wrote in your last email, or one of your last emails, that you're interested in having a micro crossfade on the loop points. So I've done that. I've applied this object trapezoid, which just kind of like adds like a granular envelope essentially for every single loop point. So you should notice it's a little bit less snappier, less artifacts, a little bit softer on the ears. Now it might be worth us doing like a crossfade in between actual loops. If that's what you meant in the first place, my apologies, I might have misunderstood that. But if that's the case, that would be an easy add. I just add a sort of fade in, fade out for when we switch in between loops. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what you meant now actually. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. Pitch shifting. So essentially you asked to have it so that it was, what was it? Hang on, just let me check. So yeah, basically you wanted it within semitones. So it is now. It says center tones here, but the way it actually does it, you know, there's 100 center tones to a semitone. So yeah, you can see that. Now you said you wanted 1 octave down and 2 octaves up. I actually found 2 octaves up to be really like shrill. Like I'll show you the full here. This is just 1 octave up. You know, like it's pretty high as it is. So yeah, personally, I felt that yeah, that was enough as it was, to be honest. So essentially, yeah, it's just going between -12 and +12. The glide, it's now only got a 10% chance of happening at 2,500 milliseconds in terms of the glide time. I feel like that's quite appropriate. Let me just get one. There you go, so it's kind of subtle, it's not too fast, not too slow. There's another one. But yeah, just let me know if you want me to change that. It could be quicker, slower, random, easy. Now, in terms of the playback speed, you mentioned you wanted a 10% chance that a loop will be affected by playback speed, which I've done. Now, the thing that I've implemented is 5% for half speed and 5% for double speed. Yeah. So if you have a look at the speeds up here, there's a 5% chance that each loop will be 0.5 for half speed or 2 for double speed. So here we've got a 2. Now, the way this is all working is just like first we have the regular sample, the speed. Then there's the 5% chance of whether it's going to be double speed or half speed. Usually it would be normal speed. And then in terms of like the pitch modulation that you wanted, I've applied that through the speeds because you couldn't really do it with the transposition because we're dealing with semitones and it would just sound a bit artifacty in general. So yeah, all the pitch modulation happens through the speed. So you can see here we've got a random doing this one. If I go again, over here we've got a sine wave. So yeah, it's just adding or subtracting depending on the position of the wave, right? So yeah, that's what you're seeing here. You know, for example, here this is a normal speed clip that's got sine wave modulation. Try find some other ones. So here we've got a double speed sample that's got, yeah, pitch modulation, hence why it's going between, you know, 1.9, 2.1. Okay, yeah, so I used 0.5 and 2 just because otherwise it got really dissonant. And I'm assuming that's not what you're going for too much. Any dissonance that you wanted, I guess you intended like in your actual samples themselves. Where are we at? So yeah, like I said, I've added the crossfades. It's definitely made it a lot smoother on the edges. But like I said, if you wanted that crossfade in between actual generations, then let me know, no problem. You might have noticed some of these have negative. So this one here says -2. So that is for reverse. If it's -1, that is normal speed in reverse. If it's -2, it's normal double speed in reverse. So if it's -0.5, half speed in reverse, you know. You might notice that a lot of these generations happen even if the loop's not playing. So I'll just give you an example. So over here, for example, sample 4 is not playing, but clearly we've had some modulation has been chosen and also some panning that's been chosen. So if you think about it, it kind of like reduces the chance of it happening. The fact that one of the occurrences that it did happen was whilst the loop was turned off. Just say the loop comes on the next one, it's unlikely that the modulation will be chosen again, if that makes sense. So I don't know whether you want to keep it that way or if you want me to say, right, all of these rules, like the random number generators, should not be triggered if the sample is off. It'd probably make more sense, and again, it would be an easy fix. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Where are we at? Over here. So yeah, there's a 35% chance now that a sample will be low pass filtered at a random hertz between 1000 hertz and currently 6000 hertz. I used that because you said between 1000 hertz and no filter. And yeah, 6000, you know, it's unnoticeable. There's no noticeable filtering. But anything higher, so just say I said like random of 10,000, you know, it's much more likely that the number that's generated is going to be over 6,000, and thus it's almost always unnoticeable. So yeah, for now I've just used 6,000 hertz as the maximum. That way, you know, no matter what, if the filter is active, it's at least somewhat noticeable, right? Pitch modulation, yeah. So I was saying about that. Oh my god, what a nightmare that was. If you it sounds dead easy, and it was for the sine wave, but it was a colossal nightmare for the random. This is the patch, by the way. It's getting absolutely massive, as you can see. This will be tidied up, don't worry. But yeah, as you can see, it was a little bit more complicated than it should have been in terms of applying the random oscillation for the modulation. But we got there in the end. So yeah, there was, what was it, a 20% chance. Oh yeah, so 20% chance of there being pitch modulation in general, and 30% chance of that is random, like a noise wave. So it's just taking snapshots of the noise wave. And for the frequency for that, obviously because you don't have a frequency for noise waves, what I had to do is just take a snapshot, and that snapshot ranges from every 50 milliseconds to every 1000 milliseconds. So it's kind of like randomly chooses how quickly, like the rate of you know, outputting a value for the noise wave. So that's 30%, and then the 70% is the sine wave. Now currently, as you asked, it is between 0.01 hertz and 1 hertz. However, I haven't currently added the modulator on the rate of that, but that will be a really easy fix. So I'm guessing you're asking me to get a sine wave to modulate the rate of the sine wave, which is modulating the pitch. So yeah, that would be a pretty easy thing. I just add that with I think you said like you wanted a 20% chance of that happening. That wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the only feature that hasn't been added at all here yet. But yeah, it'll take me a few minutes, so no problem with that. Yeah, in terms of the modulation, currently I've got the range of that. So because we're dealing with playback speed, is 0.98 as the minimum and 1.02 as the maximum. So I feel like it gives it a nice sort of like just slight wonk to it, slight sort of like vinyl warp almost. If you want that to be more extreme, let me know. I can try to find an example really quick. So there you go, you can hear it on this one. Let me just isolate it. So there you go, you can hear the sort of like subtlety there. This one's a fairly, I don't know what that is, like 0.2 hertz or something around that, maybe more. Auto panning is added, as you can see. We've got it on this one as well currently. Now for that, yeah, it works best with the sine wave, I think. The triangle wave I have done. See if I can get an example of it. Now there is a very occasional situation where nothing happens. I currently haven't figured that out. I think it's a really small glitch. Seems to happen maybe like every 100 clicks or something like that. I'll get something where nothing happens. I'm unsure why, because I've programmed it in that it should play no matter what. But yeah, don't worry, I'll get on to that. So yeah, we've got another one there. Oh, that's my bad. I've just got the volumes off. Cool. So yeah, auto panning's in, triangle wave and sine wave I can't remember what probability you asked for, but I did put it in. It was like 20% or 10% chance, or 30. One of them was 35%. Yeah, I've used all of these probabilities you've asked for, just using random number generators essentially. Finally, dynamic processing. So you were saying that you wanted the master output to be between -30 and 0. So this is currently a little bit quiet. I'll be honest, I haven't done so much in terms of this. So like, there isn't currently the rule that each there's got to be at least one sample that is playing that is above 0 decibels. That's currently not a thing. You can see the peak limits just here. But I do think generally it sounds reasonable volumes. But yeah, it's something that I normally leave until the end, until like there's no more features being added or whatever, just so that I know everything's good. So yeah, I'll whack on all the limiters and everything at that point, and should be able to get everything sounding nice and loud. Oh, that was a scary one. Yeah, no, I think that's everything in terms of the patch. Now, obviously, this interface I've just made for you to be able to visualize what's happening, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, you can see over here, I've just made, like, I didn't really know what you're looking for, because you've said that you want a very minimalistic interface, just one button and a volume. So I've got the image in here that you sent me. So yeah, I mean, it could look something like this. Like I said, I just made like a really basic SketchUp, but this could be the window, you know, it could be oh shit. I just shot it, man. Let me just reopen that. Yeah, that was the one. But yeah, sorry, so I digress. This here could be the window, right? I just made a crappy little button here, press me. But you mentioned that you were going to send me custom knob or dial or button. That would be amazing, because what we can do is just say you've got an image with a transparent background, so like this, but you've got like an on state and an off state, because then I can do it so that it really quickly has like a little animation to it, so that like this, you see where it's black in the middle. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's just about everything. I believe pretty much everything you asked for in the in this email here, pretty much all of that is done. But like I said, it would just be interesting to hear yeah, your sort of like perspective on everything. If you think, for example, the pitch modulation's too subtle or not subtle enough, or if you want the panning to be more common or anything like that, you know. So yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. Cool. Let me know if you have any trouble and whatnot. Cheers, Alex. Take care.